everyone, this is Rachel here, and we're here with the Alpha build, Avacyn, Guardian Angel, over here, and this week we're adding in Urza's Destiny, and you guys might have noticed that this isn't Portal 3 Kingdom update. So here's the thing, I was all ready to do a Portal 3 Kingdom update, looking at the stuff, being all like, I think there's like a couple of things in here that we might want, we'll go ahead, we'll try them out. But I really started looking at the stuff, and I started thinking about the criteria of what I want for this deck. Even something like loyal retainers or false defeat, those kind of seem incredibly redundant from stuff that we already have in here that's kind of more flexible and all that, or like the false defeat, which is just it's a functional reprint of Breath of Life and Resurrection. So, yeah, looking at everything else, we've got like Con Min or Li Bu, and they just don't fit into what the deck wants to do. You can make an argument for the Guan Yu's 1000 Li March, which destroys all tap creatures, but we already have something that does that in Righteous Fury, and with Catastrophe, I want to have the option of being able to blow up all the creatures, not just the tap ones. Righteous Fury is actually a nice tech option, because we do have that power to untap or keep our stuff vigilant, attack it, and they'll attack with a bunch of cards. We try and use Avacyn to survive, and we can use Righteous Fury to just pop everything. Even Righteous Fury is going to get removed at some point when we have access to something like Austere Command. So there's literally just nothing from Portal 3 Kingdoms that I ended up actually wanting to just put in the deck. Now, I have things that I have on my watch list in case our deck goes a certain direction, but for all intents and purposes, we're skipping Portal 3 Kingdoms. Like, I just don't see a reason to do a long video for, like, maybe one card. And when that card got cut from the final deck building, there was just no point. So we're going straight into Urza's Destiny, which is actually really great for us. And it's a lot more fun, because there's some really cool cards in here. So anyway, let's go ahead and start with the right side over here. Because we've got, I think, 7 options? Yeah, looks like we have 6 options here. So the first one we have Thran Dynamo, which you might recognize as a very powerful EDH staple. It's a 4-mana artifact that taps to add 3. We have a pretty decent toolbox of not really a toolbox, suite of mana rocks and other stuff like that. So the Mishra's Workshop, right? Mishra's Workshop? Yeah, Mishra's Workshop is gonna get by necessity, it's still gonna be in here because it helps accelerate so many of these mana rocks or just these tools that we need, and it just makes everything a lot better. And even though Mirrodin is still a long ways away, I really do anticipate us going into a more equipment-based type deck, so Mishra's Workshop is going to have, it's not going to go anywhere, and Thran Dynamo is just another reason why. And with the Thran Dynamo itself, it's a 4-mana artifact. It taps for 3. Let's see, the Grim Monolith also taps for 3. So it's possible to start just ramping some silly stuff out. So 4 down, tap the Monolith. The Dynamo makes 3. Yeah, you can probably get these going together to just ramp out a couple of turns ahead. And let's see, that does help pay for Avacyn's Limit Break. Yeah. And from her second cost on, too. It's pretty good. False Prophet's one that I'm interested in seeing how we can actually work, partly because it's a dice trigger. With the False Prophet, it's a rattlesnake if you don't have a way to actually sacrifice creatures. We don't have a way to actually sacrifice creatures, so False Prophet might find himself on the way out. But it's important to note that he exiles all the creatures, and EDH reanimation is very, very heavily played. Not just reanimation, but regrowth effects, ways to just constantly recycle or get back creatures. So being able to exile something, it's one of the reasons why Swords to Plowshares is one of the best spot removal pieces in the game. No questions asked. Because it just says that thing's gone forever. Now, again, because it's a when he dies trigger without any way to actually sacrifice him, we're going to depend entirely on our opponents for that, and that's not something I enjoy doing. It's part of why I ended up cutting the Congregate when I was trying to figure out what cards I wanted and which cards hadn't been quite performing. Congregate's a great card, but it's a lot better when you yourself can go wide and kind of cash in on a board that's about to get popped, rather than constantly holding something up because you're just trying to get some incidental life gain. It wasn't Congregate wasn't a bad card, but it just wasn't doing the. It was too conditional. Is what I'm trying to say. It was too conditional on what our opponents had on board because we're never gonna get a board out where we can actually get some value on it. Academy Rector. So many great things coming out of the Urza block here, and Academy Rector is one of them. She's a 4-mana human cleric. She also has a dice trigger, but hers is a lot better than False Prophets because it sets up your just plays. She's a 4-mana 1/2, and when she dies, you can exile her to search your library for an enchantment and just put it straight into play. So for us, that's going to mean putting out something like the Opal Archangel. It could also mean putting out the Moat. There's, getting Aura out, Knighthood. We don't have a lot of amazing targets, admittedly, for her, but there's going to be some good stuff coming out, and it's never bad to be able to just pull out something like a land tax or an Oath of Legis, just even something like that, because it is going to get us value, and she uses and she puts it directly into play. Now, originally, this is also the set where Opalescence was coming out, and Opalescence right now is on the watch list because I don't think we have enough really big enchantments or just a certain density of enchantments that aren't auras in order to really make Opalescence worth it. It is an interesting effect, and I do want to have it on the watch list. If we had more enchantments to play around with the Academy Rector and all that, Opalescence would be coming in. For now, it's not really. A lot of our enchantments are smaller stuff. I'd at least want more like 3 and 4 drops. Speaking of which, we ended up cutting out the Kismet, the one that forces all the lands and creatures and artifacts to come into play tapped. Mostly because, again, I want to try and increase our offensive power while cutting back on some of the more tempo-y or defensive ones that were helping us stall out games, but couldn't help us close out the games. And Kismet's a great tempo card, but if we really wanted, we can get that later with Thalia or Blind Obedience. Blind Obedience is definitely the much more superior option, in my opinion, because of the Extort, because it only comes down at 2. Replenish will get back all the enchantments from our graveyards to the battlefield, and that helps a lot with all the auras. We can have Avacyn out, we can play Replenish and get back the Spirit Link and the Flickering Ward. We can get back our Sarah's Liturgy and the Aura of Silence. Interesting enough, Sarah's Liturgy is still in here for now. It did enough work to convince me that I want to see a little bit more of it. And actually, let's see, I'm going to be messing around with the Commander 2016 decks here in about a week or so. And Sarah's Liturgy is actually something I would want to try out in the Atraxa deck, just because it is a proliferate effect. This is kind of the smaller effects that I do want to do with Atraxa. People want to go like Super Friends and stuff with Atraxa. I just don't like Super Friend decks, so you can count on me not doing that. And finally, we have the Sarah Advocate. I'm going to call her Addie. So Sarah Advocate's a 4-mana 2/2 flyer, but she says tap to give target attacking or blocking creature +2/+2 until end of turn. So what's important is that she can go ahead and block and give that power to herself, but she can also block and then give someone else a bit of a bonus. So with Avacyn out, that means that Avacyn can go ahead and protect her with the, prevent all the damage, while making Avacyn just big enough to block, just big enough that she can actually block some of the flying things that have been causing us problems, like annoying 5/5s, stupid dragons, and all that. The other important thing is that she's in here, Addie's in here because she gives +2/+2. That is super important for getting Avacyn into that 3-hit range. Remember, now that we've shifted our game plan so that the focus is getting Avacyn into the red zone, we need ways to consistently bump her up. Before this, we had, Divine Transformation, which just gives her 3/3. That's fine. There's the Sarah's Embrace. We've also got the Sword of the Chosen, and Sarah's Advocate now makes 4. Because I'm looking through here, and I'm not seeing a lot of else that actually, pumps Avacyn up. Yeah, I'm really not. So right now we just have those 4 options in order to make Avacyn a 3-turn clock. Ideally, those would be, stuff like Sarah Advocate and the auras would be equipment. Oh god, if we were when we reach Mirrodin Block, we'll have stuff like Lux and Warhammer, a sort of Fire and Eye, a sort of Light and Shadow, and those three pieces of equipment are already amazingly more efficient than just the Sword of the Chosen or the Advocate or the auras. But for now, we have to make do with what we have, and what we do have is a 2/2 flyer body who can go ahead and get stuff in there by herself. But she does also have the ability to pump other people's stuff, so if we get into a situation like with a 6 power commander that's trying to get in there, and we need him to deal 1 more damage in order to actually help knock an annoying player out, the Sarah Advocate can go ahead and start messing up with people's combat math. Which, I always think that's cool in theory. It never ends up panning out the way I wanted to, because I end up not wanting to help out people as much as probably could be. It's just the nature of the deck, I guess. We've had a lot of +1 creatures that can give +1/+1, like the Angelic Page and all that, but those weren't big enough on their own. We would have to group up like at least 2 of them in order to help Avacyn get into the range. And while that's got a cool flavor to it, it's incredibly inefficient in a deck where we do have spots that need to be fought for and justified. I'm looking at the stuff that we cut out. We cut out the Elite Archers, the Soul Sculptor, the Steam Catapult, the Opal Titan. Opal Titan partly because, it's really cool. It's a really cool blocker. It's really cool on defense, and he actually does that job fairly well. But he's not actually getting in anywhere, and we want to try and stay away from cards that are going to hold on a strictly defensive role, because we want to try and lean on Avacyn for that. The Steam Catapult, it's recurable destruction, but it's one that we have to use on our own main phase. Intrepid Hero's going to handle the majority of the removal at instant speed, which is going to be a lot better. And a lot of the things that we're going to want to kill, she'll handle by herself. The Soul Sculptor is a really, really cool card. Be able to turn something into an enchantment until they have to cast a creature, until you realize that most everyone's packing a creature with a spell stapled onto it, because that's just the best way to get value in Commander. It's the easiest way, is to place a creature with an enter the battlefield effect. So super easy to turn that stuff back into a creature. And Elite Archers, just because it's a 6-mana that shoots something that's attacking or blocking for 3. And while, again, that's cool, it's not the most efficient way to just give it to creatures. So today we're going to be looking at shoring up some enchantment support, get it with the Academy Rector and the Replenish, speeding up our game, Thread Dynamo helping power Avacyn's Limit Break, and Sarah Advocate helping Avacyn get in there. There is the upside that she is an angel. I actually really love this art from Divine versus Demonic. I play a 60-card kitchen table angel deck sometimes, but I have newer players or friends that are getting into the game, and I actually like using this card quite a bit. I am not unhappy to see her make the deck this time. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and go into that first game, shall we?